what's going on, all right? And I'm going to do my best to tell you. A mother would do anything to save your child.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 horror film Blood. The film is directed by Brad Anderson. It stars Michelle Monaghan, Skeet Ulrich, Finlay Wotsak-Hissong and Skylar Morgan-Jones. Now the film follows Michelle Monaghan's character Jess, who is newly divorced from her ex-husband Skeet Ulrich's Patrick. She has the custody at the time of her two children, Owen and Tyler. But she has a bit of a past, really. She was an addict. She had a difficult time, which has contributed to the end of her marriage. So she's now had to move into a new house with her children. And while there, the children discover, and the pet dog discover, what should be like the local kind of lake, but it's completely gone the water, and there's this dead tree in the centre that the dog is really attracted to and barking at. There's something just not right, and then this one day the dog goes missing, and the next time they see it a couple of days later, it looks rabid almost, and it attacks the boy Owen, bites him quite severely and puts him in hospital. It takes him some time to recover, and when he recovers, he has an insatiable thirst for blood that he cannot get rid of. And if he does not have fresh blood, his health deteriorates massively, very, very quickly. The mother soon discovers this and realizes she has to do anything in her power to protect and save her child, which includes some pretty questionable things. Right, what are my thoughts on Blood? Well, this is the film that I saw the trailer for this a few weeks ago, and I thought it actually looked quite interesting from the trailer. And the film is certainly a very, very watchable film, this film. It almost feels like, to me, that when the film ends, it almost felt like, to me, it was just getting started almost. And I think, and what I mean by that is, you've got a great setup here of this film. You know what I mean? You get these characters that were introduced to. They're fairly well established. You know the dynamics that they're in. You know, separated from her husband. The kids are with her. She's in a fight with her husband to keep the custody of her children. She's got to kind of look whiter than white, all this kind of stuff. So it's a decent setup, and then this dog attack, which is a very frightening scene indeed, and it's done very, very well. And this desperation of the mother and the father, wanting the best for their child and wanting him to recover, and so on and so forth. And I don't think it's a coincidence that she's written as an ex-addict sort of thing. Because essentially that's what her son becomes. He becomes an addict for blood sort of thing. So she can completely empathise and relate, regardless of the fact that she's his mother and she'll do anything for him. But to say she crosses the line is an understatement, really. What would we do in that situation? I don't know, but she does some seriously questionable things here. You know what I mean? To kind of make sure her son gets, as she sees it, the medicine he needs to stay healthy, which is fresh blood. And then the film kind of then doesn't go beyond that, in a sense of that bit then when he's addicted to blood is kind of stretched out for the rest of the film. It's just a new way or different scenarios to get him blood, She tries animal blood, that doesn't work. So she's got to think of new creative ways of getting fresh human blood. Because she's a nurse as well, she kind of works at the hospital, so she does have access to it, but, that avenue's closed off fairly quickly. So what's she going to do? Well, you get a hint right at the beginning when this review came on of the kind of thing she's prepared to do to make sure her son gets the blood that he needs. But then the film just stretches it out, and it doesn't really go beyond that. It does get to the point in the film you're kind of like, okay, I need some answers here. What is this tree? What's happened to this kid? Is he a vampire? Can't be a vampire. It's not presenting it as a vampire, but it it feels like it's trying to go down that route, but it never really commits. So you get, it's one of those films that by the time it finishes, you kind of like, I needed more. I needed to understand more about this film, and you didn't give it me. Some films don't need to explain themselves, or some films don't need to give you any explanation. You can go away and kind of create your own ending, or you go away and you kind of sit and you ponder about it, and you know what I mean, you come up with your own ideas. This film isn't made well enough for you to go away and do that, and I don't mean it's poorly made or anything. It just doesn't feel, it's not like one of those films you dwell on when it finishes. It's just one of those films that finishes and you feel unsatisfied by the way it finishes. But it sounds like I'm being overly critical or overly negative towards the film, and I don't mean to be, I suppose, because I do actually think this is at times a fine watch. I mean, the performances here are excellent. Michelle Monaghan, I think, has always been a talented actress. I don't think she's she's never really broke through to the mainstream, you could argue, but I've always really liked her and liked her performances. I think she's good. And the two kids, especially Finlay Wojak Heesong, or whatever, I hope I pronounced that right, who plays the young boy Owen, who, gets this disease, so to speak, is excellent. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a very, very good performance by a talented young actor, I would suggest. So there's things here to enjoy. I don't think this is, by any stretch of the imagination, a disaster. I actually think it's an above-average film. I just think it could have been elevated. You know what I mean? We get a good first act, we get a pretty good second act, and the second act kind of stretches out, and then the film just finishes. You don't really get what I would describe as an impactful third act or a satisfying end to the film. But it might be something that might interest you, but check it out if it does. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I will be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.